Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette and our live stream. I'm here today with Chris.
Hi, guys.
Chris is normally behind the camera,
Yep.
but we'll talk about watches today, and Chris is into watches.
I am. I got all my collection right off camera here, so we can show some off as we go.
Perfect, Chris. Thanks for bringing that. We were originally thinking that we could bring in Federico from Del Rey Watches. Unfortunately, because he's in Miami and Hurricane Milton,
Yeah.
he wasn't able to join us. So yeah, we're here today because we have a new exciting product here. You've tested it, Chris?
Yes, I took it to London when we were there a few weeks ago, and it does its job great.
Oh, perfect. So basically what we wanted to do was have a watch case. And the idea was to create something out of the same leathers that our, other items have been made of, such as the pen case, right? So we wanted something that would work with our whole slew of products. I think you have the card holder too. And
Yeah, it all works together. So.
Exactly, so it all looks the same. But of course, as we developed the product, the question was, what are we gonna do? I think there's stuff like watch rolls, right? And then this was a model I had seen Rolex, when you're a good customer, they give you actual cases that look like that. And I think when you send something into service, they send you something similar.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times actually. Now that you say that.
So the idea is that you open it up, right? It's leather. It's like one continuous piece of leather, and then on the inside you have other stuff. Yeah. So I mean, here, right? We have that. You flap open the flap, and the idea was that you really have the watch covered at all times.
Yeah, make sure it stays protected.
Have you had issues with watches getting like scratched or anything?
Well, a couple of the ones that I have here have scratches on them just from regular use and stuff, but once you're in something like this, then it's protected and it's not a huge deal. But of course, you don't keep your watches in a case. You're supposed to wear them, so if they get scratched, that's part of the fun.
Part of the fun, yeah. At the same time, we're like, if you spend thousands of dollars on a watch, you don't want unnecessary scratches.
No, if you buy a Royal Oak, you want to make sure that stays protected when it's not on your wrist. Exactly.
Exactly. And what I noticed was, when you had different cases, sometimes, like in a watch roll, like there was potential of stuff rubbing on each other, or there were issues just getting them in and out. Also, what I really didn't like was you had to kind of, decide what pillowcase you want. And I'm like, well, I've had trouble with my wife, and she's like, oh, can you bring my watch? Well, now the pillow doesn't work. And the whole thing, it was like, man. So when we designed this, we really tried to create something that would work with every watch. And it wasn't actually that simple. We had different prototypes. We started, and I think we even have the prototypes. We can pull them out later. We started and it was a smaller case, and then we realized, well, this works for metal bracelets, right? Let's maybe put one in the metal bracelet here. But then we realized, well, it doesn't work for a leather strap, because with a leather strap, ideally, you don't want to, tighten it. You want to keep it just like this, and then put it in.
Yep, you can do it like that if you want, or the other way.
You can put it in, and you can have it protected. Now, the other thing we did, what we realized then was, well, what do you do when you have different sizes? So we came up with these little teeth that you have, plus a flexible end. So no matter what size your watch is, it works. You can put it in. It can be completely covered and protected.
Yeah, exactly.
And here it's the same thing with the leather strap, right? You can just put it in and just move it all the way down.
Yep.
And so then the idea is you flap it over like this, you flap it over like that.
And you're good to go.
And you're good to go. Some people are like, well, why don't you use magnets? Why is it a bad idea, Chris?
Well, it just falls open easier at that point, would be my thought.
Yeah, but it's also, I think, the mechanical watches.
Oh, yeah, because of watches, exactly.
If you have that, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
But so, we designed it. So no matter if you have like a big watch, this here is like a PRX from Tissot.
About 40 millimeter, I think, if memory serves right.
Yeah, and this was a super popular watch, right?
Yep, it's a popular watch in the watch community for a good, somewhat budget watch. $500 to $1,000 for different variants for one of those.
Yeah, and it's kind of like an homage, right, to the Royal Oak. But you can, you know,
Yeah.
you can take your Apple Watch, whatever it is, and it's just designed that, you know, when you have like a long strap, you take the long strap and put it all the way back.
Yep.
So at that stage, the length of the strap is like that. But we made the case so it was still long enough that you could have it in there.
Right.
And so no matter what your wrist size is, no matter what the size of the watch is, it works and you can have it. And, you know, if it drops, it's fine, you know. It's really good. And for the fabrics, you know, we looked at stuff like Alcantara. Are you familiar with Alcantara?
Oh yeah, it's in lots of car stuff, so I've seen it before. Yep.
Exactly. And so people think of it, you know, it's this really high-end thing. It's actually a synthetic product.
Okay.
Which is nice, but what we really wanted for the inside here was a suede leather, because suede is like naturally grippy. It's easy to pull things out, but that natural grip is just enough to keep it from, like, you know, accidentally just sliding out.
Yeah.
You know, you
That's
can just
nice.
hold it like that, and it's not, we don't want you to accidentally have a watch kind of slide out.
No, I don't want that.
Right? It's like, it should all be intentional, and it's designed that it's good enough to hold, but it's not impeding when you actually pull it out. So yeah, these were, I mean, yeah, we probably did like 3 prototypes until we got there. And I think here, you know, you can see this, we used the angled sides. So it was a continuation of what we had for our other items. And belts is also something, so stay tuned. We'll have belts coming soon too, and they have that same shape. So when you buy one item, you know that you can just get a few things.
Nice.
So if you had to pick a color, Chris, which one would you go for?
We've shown it a lot already, but I kind of like this Monte Cristo leather with the yellow inside. I think it works really well together, but a close second would probably be this dark brown and blue. I think the contrast here is really nice.
Okay.
But these are probably my 2 favorites.
2 favorites?
Yeah.
Okay, then we got some other ones here. We went with that kind of, this is our Americana leather. It is really kind of, you know, it gets a scratch, but then you can kind of rub it out super easily. So this is guaranteed to get a patina.
Oh yeah, which adds to the appeal of it, I think.
Yeah, and what we did too, we you know, used stamps that were rather subtle, like Fort Belvedere in the back, just the crest in the front, so it's not screaming in your face. On this Togo leather, you know, you see it even less. It's there subtly. And so we try to get colors that were kind of complementary, right? This is kind of this warm yellow tone, and with the green, I think it works really nicely. And this is our Togo leather that, you know, very expensive French brands use as well.
Nice.
And we put a gray in there, so it is contrasty, but it's definitely more subtle. And yeah, then because there's suede involved, this is edge painted. We tried with folded edges, but it's just not something that really works well. And so we went with edge painting, and it's really neatly edge painted. But yeah, it's a nice product. You know, the snap buttons are made in Germany.
Nice.
We didn't just go with some random crap, right? we chose the cream of the crop, and everything. You know, this is made in Europe. The leathers are made in Europe. The snap buttons are made in Europe. The thread is made in Europe. Everything is made in Europe to really high quality standard. So yeah, let's open up some questions here. What's the purpose of the watch case? Well,
To protect the watch, we talked about that already.
exactly. Why did you settle on this watch case? I think, you know, we wanted to do something that was really meant for travel. So like here, you know, if the watch is in here, I had some watch rolls, but I wanted something that was flat. So flat profile, so I could put it in a carry-on, I can put it in a backpack, you could put it in a briefcase, you could put it in a, you know, whatever case. Even, you know, I just didn't want it to take up too much space in terms of depth, because that's the issue I found I had with watch rolls. Because I mean, if you just take out a pillow like that,
Yeah,
you know, if you have that, and then you put your watch on top of it,
especially with a thicker watch like this.
you have a thicker watch and then the whole roll. Well, now, you know, you have like something that is twice as thick, it's bulkier, it doesn't always fit into something.
Right.
And I also thought, if it's good enough for Rolex's premium customers,
Oh, of course.
right? I think it's good enough for me. And we used it, we tried it, and it's just a really neat case. There's also, we did the contrast stitching on all the brown tones. We did tone in tone with the black one, because we're like, if you're going for something black, you typically want something a bit more understated. Yeah, choosing contrast stitching may not sound like a big deal to you, but actually, for production, you see every mistake. If you make one mistake, you have to throw the case away. So this is, from a workmanship level, a lot more difficult than doing it tone in tone.
Imagine,
Yeah, I don't think most people realize that, but it's just how it goes. My watch came with a box. Can I use it for travel? What do you think, Chris?
Theoretically, you could. Like you said, we were just talking about space saving. I think this is a great option because it's a lot slimmer than your watch box. But if you don't have a watch case like this, the watch box is great because it comes with some kind of padding because it's something they shipped it to you in. So if you don't have anything else, use a watch box because it's going to be safer than not. But I would wear a watch at that point too. So
yeah, well, and if you travel, maybe you travel with a few timepieces. We did the different sizes because maybe you're just a one watch person kind of guy. Maybe you just want to give it as a gift. You don't want to spend too much.
Right.
We have basically all different sizes, right? We have the 2, we'll have the 1, and we'll have the 3. So whatever you like. If you have more watches, you can get 2 of those and put them flat, or 3 of those, or 4, whatever floats your boat. You can even get different colors, so oh, the tan one is my dive watches, and this one is my dress watches, and whatever you come up with as a system. But yeah, if you take a a nice Rolex box that you get, or they're massive. They're heavy. They're sometimes made out of wood.
That's the big downside, is they're just bulky and heavy.
They're not meant for travel. So we intentionally designed this to be used for travel. Also because, it's soft, it takes some impact if you hit something, right? It's if you have a stiff case, that is more transferred directly to your product.
That's true too.
So we didn't want that. And we also, didn't want something that was based on foam, which is a petroleum foam, and it's, a product that will deteriorate over time.
Oh, true, yeah, the environment, you want to think about that.
And this is something that should last you for, decades to come. Is this case actually sturdy enough to protect my watch from crush damage? What do you think, Chris?
I'd say so. I put it in my check luggage when we went to London, I think, and it survived. My watch has survived, so I'd give it a good review in that regard.
Okay. Oh, so you put it in your check luggage?
I think I did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If memory serves me right.
See, I'd only put it in my carry-on because I'm like, I don't want that to get
Either way,
lost.
it survived, so
Yeah.
it gets good marks there.
Yeah. I remember I was once, in Europe. I was in Paris, and I lost my suitcase for like 100 days.
Oh.
And then, you get to that point where you're like, well, you only get, so much money per pound or per kilogram until you have. So yeah, if you have expensive watches, I highly urge you not to check them.
I'm sure my priorities would change if I had a Royal Oak with me or something like that.
Yeah. Most watch carriers I've seen have cushions or pillows. Why doesn't this one? Yeah, we talked about it. The thickness of the pillow. And this is a flat pillow. I've seen some that are much thicker, right? So once you add everything on there, plus the issue we found is with the pillows, okay, this works for Chris's wrist right now. It may not work for my wrist. And then if you have a leather strap, you have to kind of close it to put it on. So your strap over time, if you store it that way, will get a much stronger mark than if you can leave it flat and rest that way. Yeah, form factor, we talked about that, right? Advantage there. I've heard Alcantara is just as good as natural thread and much cheaper. Why not use that to reduce cost? Alcantara doesn't have the grippiness. So like I showed you, if we do this with Alcantara, this doesn't work, Like even if I shake a little bit, yeah, now they move a little bit, but it's, you don't get this with Alcantara. And I would say that for Belvedere, we don't do anything just to save cost. We start with the quality. We want a really high quality product that is really well designed and serves its purpose. And then we look at stuff afterwards.
Great.
Which case do you think would look best with a dive watch with silver case and bracelet?
Something like this we can use.
Yeah. So what do you think, Chris?
I would probably go with, just for most versatility, maybe something like this, or even the black, just so it matches with everything. But again, with the subtle dive watch, they don't usually come in bold colors. Something like this is a good example. It would work with anything. The tans match, the browns would work.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, you have these different teeth here. So with this watch, I couldn't put it in like that.
No.
So I just had to see which one, what does actually work. And because of that flexibility down here, if you're in between one of those sizes, it just works, because you want a bit of tension on here. You don't want it to be so loose that the watch kind of slides around and moves around, and then you can just put it in here. I always put the side down. You want the complete watch face covered.
That's a good way to do that.
Yeah, so there's no, you're never gonna hit anything. But yeah, so you'd say if you have to pick between that one and that one, which one would you go for?
As my favorite, I think the yellow is.
Yeah.
But just something that goes with most things, that would probably be.
Yeah. So as a gift, probably, if you give that to someone.
Blues and browns with the black is obviously the easiest
exactly.
solution there.
This is maybe more for someone who likes the lighter colors. And
exactly.
Maybe, we just wanted to have something for everyone.
Oh, totally.
Really.
And it matches the other stuff, like you said. So there's that too.
How did you decide which suede colors to pair with? I mean, we had a big color card, and this is all bullhide suede. And if you look very closely, I don't know if you can see that here. This is not just suede, so it's suede. Then there is another layer in between and another layer of suede. Because suede can be, on the softer side, you can pull it, you can maybe rip it. And by adding a supportive layer in between, you get suede on both sides, but you also get a very sturdy material that won't just rip or deteriorate over time. It also gives it a little more stiffness without being uncomfortably stiff. So it's that idea, best of both worlds. Again, makes it a little more expensive, because there are 2 layers of suede, but we believe that the quality advantage you get in the long term is just there. I don't travel much with my watches. Would this case still be useful for me?
It's a good question. I mean, if you don't have a watch box, any protection is good in my book, just to sit on a desk or a nightstand or whatever. But
I mean, if you have a big watch box, it's in there, it's organized.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
You can see it doesn't get dusty and dirty. Could you have this also just in your drawer? Yes, you could. But really, we designed it primarily for travel. So for example, if this is there, you can't see the watch right away. And we didn't want to create a case that screamed, "Look at me, I have an expensive watch in here,
you
steal it from me."
advertise that.
Like, you don't know what it is when you see this.
Well, that could just easily be a pen case, because like you said, they all look the same.
Exactly. And some people, they may not know, but we didn't want to draw all the attention to it, saying, "Expensive watch, please, take me."
Right.
Yeah, because when you're a famous watch YouTuber, I mean, those people don't even wear watches anymore in public, because people know them, or they have bodyguards and stuff. I mean, it's nuts, So it's depending on what type of country you travel to as well, right? It may not be advisable to do that. For example, my dad's from Brazil, and if you are, going to Salvador de Bahia, I remember they were like, "Okay, take off all your jewelry, don't bring your expensive stuff if you go downtown.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may be subject of, violence or whatever." So it's like, understand where you travel.
Even in London, that people have said in the past that watch would kind of watch you where they're. I don't have anything super expensive, so I wasn't worried about it. But
oh yeah,
people say that.
We were talking to Will from Arterton. He got beat up over his watch.
That's right.
So it's it's like, yeah, whatever we can do to make things less obvious and in your face,
exactly.
I think that's better. But we use nice quality materials. So every time you touch this, you're like, nice, nice leather,
Oh, yeah.
full grain leather. It's not some pigmented leather that will, it's not a cheap leather that it feels cheap. Okay, your favorite magnetic closures? Yes. So here, for a pen, it's the magnetic closure. It's for ease of use, really, because that's what it is. And we could have easily done that here. The snaps are more secure, like you said,
Totally.
but it's also, we didn't want to have any interference with your, finely made timepiece, especially mechanical pieces. And so we're like, yeah, we're not going to do magnets here at all. So one thing that we've always done when we launch a product lately is to give you a deal that is never, that is good, but it's never to come back again, right? So what we said this time is, if you spend $295 on a watch case, so this one is $295, right? These are less expensive, but you could get 2 of these, for example, as a gift. As long as you go over $295, you get a watch, a pen case for free, basically, the single one at least. We also set it up that if you're like, hey, I want the 3 pen case, you get the price of this is $145 in the shop, so you get $145 of this one. I think they're $170.
That's a good way to do that.
So yeah, but if you think about it, right, you're spending $295 and you get a $145 value. I mean, that's almost 50% of that.
That's pretty good.
So we couldn't sustain this deal on an ongoing basis. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to pay Chris and
No,
money.
then I'd have to leave, which I don't want that to happen.
But we want to make it attractive for you to test it out, check it out, and in this case, you could get, for example, the watch case in this color, and then you get the pen case that matches here, and you'd have a perfect kind of companion piece, so to speak. And the idea is of our leather good range is that we're going to be adding more things in the future. We're designing new things, so you can buy something now and know we'll always have it, and we'll expand so you can build a whole set around it, so to speak. So yeah, what do you have to do to get the deal? Really, you just add things to your cart. So you would add, a 3-piece case and then another case like this, so it would automatically take it off. This deal is only valid until October 21st. So hurry up while supplies last. And the 21st is the last day. Now, normally what we do is we have volume discounts for our leather goods. And that still works, right? You could buy 1 passport holder, 1 pen case, 1 of this, and the more you buy, the bigger your discount gets on everything. Because this is such a good deal and it's just a launch deal, you will not get the volume discount on top of that. Sorry, couldn't afford that. But once that launch deal is over, the regular volume discount applies, and it applies to all of our goods. So you don't have to buy 5 watch cases to get a discount. You can get 1 of each and get these discounts, because it's based on per item, and then I think the percentage goes up to like 20%.
Good to know.
So in any case, you good deal here. Should I get a case that matches the leather of my watch strap?
You can. I certainly can match some of these, but I just get something that's more universal for myself than just to match something specifically.
Well, and you can exchange straps.
Yeah, that's the
leather straps. Maybe you have a bracelet, it's steel. Well, there's no steel color leather.
There's too many options with straps and
Exactly.
stuff at that point.
I'd say don't. I'd say go with something that just speaks to you in terms of your aesthetic.
Right.
Right. And of course, let's say if we have a duffel bag, right, and it's in the same color, and we would keep the same color schemes, so it all feels and looks like it's made from the same line and the same range. I like that you carry watch cases in the same letters as your other products, but is it tacky to be too matchy-matchy? Well, you know, when you have shoes, like when you wear shoes in one color, what belt color do you choose?
You match it if you can.
Yes, I mean that's ideal, right?
Right.
If you can get it there, because they're leather goods, you know, it's not like you're wearing a suit made of the same material, a shirt out of the same material, and a tie and a pocket square, right? So you have this monochromatic look. There's always different elements in your outfit
Right.
that break it up. So I would say no, it's never too matchy. Any plans to release a watch winder case in the future? You know, I never say never. It could be something if we found the right pieces. You know, you have more movement in there and all that stuff. So I could see that. Do you use any watch winder cases?
I don't. I mean, it would be nice, but with the number of watches that I have, it was too expensive for me to even think about at that point. So I'll just wind it in the morning if I need to, or shake it up a little bit and set it, and it's fine. It doesn't take that long of time to do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some people have sent them to me. I just never used them. I find, you know, to plug it in sometimes, it's like, too much of a hassle. But hey, if there's, you know, a lot of demand and people are like, we'd like that and we'd like it, you know, the matching leathers and stuff like that, we're all ears. I mean, just, you know, let us know in the comments. What are your favorite watches? Maybe favorite dress watches and or sports watches?
Ooh, that's a good question. Lately for dress watches, I've been into vintage stuff. In one of these cases here is a vintage Seiko that I bought recently, which you can get for cheap. Yeah. Like $15, something like that, that one.
Okay, that one here?
So stuff like this is what I've been into for dress watches lately, is the vintage looking stuff. I also have a Seiko that I bought new over here. That's that tank style. So that's the kind of stuff I like for dress watches. Just
maybe you want to put it down here so people can actually see you.
It's has the cool factor, but it's not uber expensive.
Yeah.
So those are my tastes right now for dress watches. Is the elegant but cheaper quartz stuff for the most part. Although some could say you could wear like a Datejust or Day-Date style watch with suits too. I do sometimes. So that's another option. This isn't a Rolex for those who can't see that closely. Just a Bulova that's made to look like one. So that's an option that kind of bridges the sports watch, dress watch divide. And then, yeah, dive watches. My favorite is this Oris 65 that I have, but I don't know. Depends on what you like at that point, what your budget is really.
Yeah.
For different things.
Because I mean, you can spend, you know, like I said, $15 on watches. You can spend a lot on watches.
Yeah.
I mean, lately the used market has come down in price quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, something, you know, I don't know, if you're in the market for a Daytona or a Royal Oak, I think significantly dropped in it. Just the availability
totally
is there now. I'll look at, like, you know, Del Rey watch. He has a bunch of stuff, and one thing that Federico always says that kind of resonated with me was, like, you know, let someone else take the hit, you know, because oftentimes we talk about investments with watches, but if you buy a new watch, often, you know, the resale value is going to be a lot lower. So I like watches that just speak to me. Totally. You know, I have this like vintage JLC Reverso. It's smaller. So I'd say I like thinner watches, smaller watches. Yep. I also don't like, you know, very popular watches in the sense I feel like I'm just buying a commodity product. So I wouldn't buy, you know, a Rolex Datejust or, you know, a Submariner or a Pepsi GMT. That's just not me. You know, I'd go for something more special. I like dress watches, or maybe, you know, I don't know, A. Lange und Söhne, or I like, you know, Nomos has very kind of Art Deco inspired simplistic designs.
Totally, yeah, their stuff is great.
Interesting dials. I like that. I also like, you know, Cartier has a nice range of watches, you know, the Santos, the different tanks, American. Yep. I also like their more, you know, unusual watches where they're maybe like, you know, round and some
they even have a Cartier that looks like it was crushed, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Stuff like that is
which,
cool.
You know, no one cared about until, was it like Kanye West or some celebrity?
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Some celebrity wears it, and then, the price goes up.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm more into those types of watches. And with Federico, it's nice. I can just tell, hey, Federico, I'm looking for something, and he has ideas, or I come to him with ideas, and then he's like, oh yeah, we can find you something. So that's good.
Totally.
Coffee Lover has given us $5. Well, thank you, Coffee Lover. I
Thank
appreciate you. That's very nice of you. Yeah, if you have any questions, or happy to answer them for you. What do you use to carry your phone, keys, and such around with you? If you use my pockets or running bag and looking for more classic options. Any plans to make something? What do you use?
I just use my pockets on my pants and stuff for the most part, or a jacket if I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
But just pockets.
Yeah, I for phone, it's interesting. I liked, I had I think an alligator case, and it was interesting because when you look at the different options, what I see with leather, basically you can have one where the leather is cut and then just cut flat on top. It's wrapped around like a plastic case, and then they put some form of edge paint on top. But I found that always wears off very quickly, and it's bad. There are some cases where they kind of, they take the leather and they fold it around like this, so it's on the inside. That is a much better quality option. This here is actually, it's just like a Peak design case. I use this for travel because I have when I like to go biking, and so I can just take a strap, put it on, and it is a magnet, but also has this like physical connection. So it's really well designed.
Nice.
The material sucks. I wish they would actually make good stuff. They don't. Maybe we have to approach them and say, hey, can we make this system? Because I think you can charge it on your wireless charger, and it has this really great. It's flat. It doesn't protrude much. So that would be a cool case where I'm like, hey, can we work with you? We use great leathers and make a more luxury case. I could see doing that. The problem with watch cases is, you need to know what the size of the iPhone is before it comes out, or whatever phone it is.
Yeah.
If we started, we'd probably just do the iPhone. And then, you have to kind of rely that is truly the dummy that it's going to be. Otherwise, you're investing all that money, and then the phone doesn't fit. I mean, you have to throw them away, right? They're useless. So it's high risk, and you have to have them early on. I think we found someone who has a track record of reliably getting the size right. So I can think like working with someone like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely more difficult. It's also, if you think about it, most people get a new phone, if they're really into that stuff, like every year. That others maybe every 2, 3, or 4 years. So you constantly have to replace it. I mean, the good thing is if you know that we're producing a good case and you like it, you're probably going to come back. Yeah. So that's nice. So we'll have to kind of look into that and design something that is at a good price point. Because what's the point of engineering a phone case that's going to last 20 years? When you're only going to use it for 5 max.
Yeah, not great then.
It's not helpful. But keys. I could see, I used to have kind of one of those key holders that you would kind of, open like this, and then the keys would hang down here, little things. It was kind of annoying, and it got quite bulky in the pocket. So I think I could see maybe doing, a little key holder with maybe an AirTag compartment. Because I'm like, I have ADHD, so I'm like, oh, where's my key, right? But if you're able with your maybe the iPad or your phone, track it down. I think that would be really helpful and useful. And then just using nice leathers, so you have something. I wouldn't get something bulky, because really, like we've switched a lot to, digital locks, so I can use my phone to open stuff. So the only keys I carry are like bike keys for the locks. And maybe the car key. And then it's not even the traditional key anymore. It's just like this fob.
No, yeah.
So I'm like, that's probably where
Not that
we're
many
going.
for most of us.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Toomey leather and a Toomey brand in general? I think it's overrated, I think. Personally, I know someone who worked there at a store, and he was like, this was so boring. I just had like one customer coming a day.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how well Tumi is doing, or if they have the store for people to bring in returns or all that stuff. Yeah, I think it's a step up brand for a lot of people from like, no-name brands or maybe Samsonite or so. But yeah, to me, they're an area where they're not high enough quality for me, but they have a price of a high quality. I don't know. What do you think?
I've never used them, but yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get from what people have told me too. Is it's sold as a high quality brand, but I don't think I'd ever buy it.
Well, I've seen their stuff. Like they have like airport stores and whatnot. So I go look at it, but I'm not sold. I'm not sold. How do you feel about wooden watches like Holzkern?
Honestly, never seen one or heard of that, so I don't have an opinion at this point.
I think, there was a trend with like wooden stuff. I've seen like wooden bow ties.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There was a brand probably 10 years ago, like Schwood. They did like, eyeglasses and sunglasses.
I can
out
see
of
that
wood.
being somewhat cool.
And, I live in a house that was built by like a guy who was, working for a big lumber company. So we have a lot of wood, and I like quality wood and the finishes on it. I like marquetry, which is, when you take different woods and make patterns and stuff like that. So I think wood is a great resource for a watch. Maybe if you're really into wood, it's not a traditional material.
Oh, no.
So yeah, to me, they're more those types of watches, you find on Instagram that are super hyped, and there's oftentimes this like, oh, it's a 95% margin product where it costs $5 to make, we sell it for $100, and we just invest $80 into marketing to sell it.
We won't show this too closely, but that would qualify.
Yeah, okay. I have a black John Barbados Ernst Benz watch. Which case would you pick? If that's what you have, I think like black. Because I notice a lot of people like black. Oh, this is the actual pen case we're not using now. This is the watch case. I think I would pick that. Or if I just for a case for evening watches, I think for black it's kind of cool. Yeah, it has this kind of matte finish. And this is, a grain pattern. And most grain patterns are actually embossed. So that means you take a pattern plate and you just press it you stamp it, right, into your leather. This is not the case. This is like naturally shrunken calf leather from Germany. And it's, every grain is unique and looks different. Maybe I have to take this off here. Every grain is different. Nothing is alike. So yeah, you will have never two that are the same. So, it's a nice touch. It's a truly unique product, one of one, so to speak. So that's what I would go for. Are Raphael's jacket cuff buttons mother of pearl? Yes, yes, they are.
Good eye.
They are. And mother of pearl, you can have the bright white. So here I went with a kind of more, creamy pale yellow, because I think the contrast is less stark. But yeah, that's what that is. Preferences on manual wine versus automatic. How about quartz? Chris?
I have all of them. I got manual wine, quartz. My thing with quartz is I like it, like I showed before, where you don't see the ticking second hand, just because that's annoying to me a little bit. So as long as it's just got the hour and the minute,
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, so people can see.
That's my favorite kind of quartz watch, is the elegant, you don't notice the ticking or the lack thereof. So that's the kind of quartz watches I buy. But as far as movement, I have everything. This is a old Benris manual wind. So yeah, I can see the appeal of all of them. I like the
Automatic.
the kind of notchiness that you can hopefully hear with that when you wind it. They make cool noises. But yeah, I like them all. So I don't really have a preference. I look at the watch versus just the movement inside. So
Yeah, it's a design like the look, right?
exactly.
And some people are like, oh, I only, have automatic watches.
I even have a couple Casio digital watches, so
Yeah.
I'm an all-around watch lover, nothing super specific or whatnot. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and some people are like, more like snobs and they only get this. I think it's cool to have a range. And I remember like when Federico visited us, he was wearing a PRX because like that's my beat up travel watch, And then he had Hamoser und Söhne, right? It's a really expensive watch on the other end. So there's a range, and I don't think you have to just stick to one thing.
Right.
I think I personally like the collections of people the most where there's a certain, I can see a certain aesthetic interest. And they're like, I primarily go for that. I don't care so much. And sometimes, you see like watches in gold cases with a quartz movement.
Yeah, lately I've been into the integrated bracelet, what I would maybe consider a 70s or late 60s style watch too. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, my watch preferences are kind of all over the place.
It can change, right? Yeah. Yeah. And, like you can wear an Apple Watch if you're like, hey, I'm working out.
Oh, yeah.
I want my, the data for my workout on there. Cool. Any favorite watch complications?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't have a lot of it here, but I like some of the more complicated stuff like the calendars and stuff that like JLC makes, for example. Some of that stuff is appealing, but I like the simple automatic, just a couple hands, that's it type of deal too. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, complications can get, expensive. And I think if you have a story to tell, right? Like, hey, I'm half Filipino and, I want to know what the time is in my home country.
oh yeah, then a GMT or
and where I
something is
live.
good.
Great, right? Like, yes, you can have a tourbillon and cool. I get it. If you're really into watches, there's all that mechanical stuff that is really impressive to see, that you can do it with this accuracy, with that precision. Does it have real world use so much? No, but it's like, with anything, right? If you're into food, you will be full and satisfied with, a McDonald's hamburger maybe, or Burger King or whatever, but maybe you want to eat the tenderloin, or you want to eat the rare, dry-aged, tomahawk steak.
Oh, I haven't had lunch yet. I'm hungry now.
Yeah. Well, but it's that range, and it's the same with watches, right? If you're into it, use it, but don't feel like you have to have something in order to belong, right? It's like, if you feel like there's a community where you're only accepted if you have a certain budget or level, and you feel like you're not part of it because of that, and you don't like it, maybe look for a different community.
Yeah,
right?
that's very true.
Because I think, one thing that we also try to stretch is like, yes, you can spend, a lot of money on, bespoke vicuña jackets, or you can maybe go to a vintage store and buy some things, right? And there is, everything is good, right? What we care about is, do you have an interest in this? Are you interested in quality?
Yeah.
Then you've come to the right place. Do you just want something cheap? We were in London, and we're doing this really great London series, or England series. So check it out. The trailer's out. The first video comes out on Monday.
Monday, hopefully. Stay tuned.
Yes, yeah. So, it's cool stuff. But while we were there, we went to an event called Goodwood Revival, and it was rain in the forecast, and so we're like, well, we need some gear, right? And Chris was like, well, I need something that I wear once, then that I threw away. So you went to which store?
We went to Primark, and I just bought some cheap, like 18-pound trainers that were a knockoff of a knockoff or something, probably.
Exactly.
But they worked for the day, like you said, and then I promptly threw them away.
Yeah,
afterwards.
And Jack, he bought a pair of rain boots from the women's section because his feet are small enough that it would work for him. I went to like Barber and got their rain boots, but I'm like, oh, they're green. I can wear them in my outfit again in the future. It's not this one and done kind of thing. But you also need space in your suitcase to bring something like that home.
Exactly.
It's all give and take. Do you prioritize accuracy of timekeeping or looks?
More so looks. I understand that timekeeping is important, but some of my watches I think are a little bit off in that regard. As long as it's not going to be like 10 minutes off at the end of the day and isn't like super out of sync, I'm okay. I prioritize the looks over accuracy. Probably is what I'd say.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same boat. 100% looks. I mean, Teresa's at the point where she doesn't even wind her watch. She wears it like an accessory,
Oh,
likes the look
interesting.
of it. So she's not even, using it for time.
I couldn't go that
purposes.
far, but
Yeah.
as long as it functions within a couple minutes each day, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Could these cases be used for a pocket watch? Assuming it fits inside, of course. Well, with a pocket watch, you typically have,
Let's find out.
you can have just a watch, or you can have your strap, right? So I would say if you have like a chain, you could leave the chain on there and
Yeah.
put the chain underneath of it, so it holds a
But it
little
was still
better in there.
protected. It would just sit in the pocket
Yeah, and
towards
you
the
could,
bottom at that point. Then.
you could put it in there. It would work, but I would say only do it if you have a fob chain, a watch chain,
Mm-hmm.
and it should work. Size-wise, we designed these all to be flexible,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we want to get in watches that are tall or big or both, and so we do that. Sometimes old pocket watches are really thick and big.
Yeah.
They should work, but like I said, here's the thing is in here right now. I'll do this because I don't know if it's holding, but it does hold without a chain. It doesn't fall out.
I expected it to fall out, so that's good.
but when you want it, you can get it out, right? So
Great.
it does work. Now it comes out, but I had to shake it quite a bit.
And it's also, yeah.
Yeah, but if let's say it's in here, let's put it back. Okay, then you flap it over like this. You
Yep.
flap it over
Still
like this.
fits.
You flap it like this. You flap it like that. Yeah, with a chain on through the teeth, you'll have no problem.
Great.
Yeah. And you see the interlining. We put it interlining here. It's stiffer, and there's flexibility, so it works. Yeah, we tested quite a bit, so it would be good.
Awesome.
Yeah, so launch discount until October 21st, end of day Central Standard Time, because that's where we are. You can spend $295 or more on any watch case or any combinations thereof. So you can get a 3-1 or two 2-1s or 1-2 and 1. As long as you hit $295 on a watch case spent, you get $145 off a pen case. These cost $145, so that means that this is free. If you want to get the larger ones, they're a little more expensive, but you still get that $145 discount. So it's a really good value that is never to come back again. So yeah, if you're in the market for it, now is the best time to buy. You will never get a better deal than this. And how do you get the deal? Just add it to your cart. You don't need a discount code.
Super simple.
It will automatically take it off for you. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And if you have more questions or anything else, please let us know.
Thanks.
Talk to you next time. And stay tuned for our London series.
Yes, please do.